Hello everyone, this is Robert Radford with 50 Years of Chess. I've got another game for you and it's a good one. It's against an opponent. He's dead now. He's died in 2023. A Welsh gentleman named Robert Taylor. He played for Downend Chess Club. He played in many tournaments. He travelled the country playing lots of congresses and things. Beaten lots of good players. Had a high rating at one time. Still was pretty good when I played him. He was something like 1953, I believe, and I was about 1826. Nice guy, Robert. I only met him once at this match, but he was very nice to me and pleasant, and I was very ready for him because I knew what a good player he was. I saw the results he was having in the Bristol District Chess League, and I knew this was going to be a tough one for me. But I was glad I had white, so I opened up with d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6, c4, bishop d7, knight c3, d5. This is what is known as a Grunfeld defense for black. It's a hyper-modern opening. There's several ways white can go. One of the good ways to go is queen b3. That's a very good line. But the classical line is c takes d, which I played. And then after knight takes, the e pawn comes out, and knight takes knight, pawn takes knight. This is the usual hyper-modern type of way of chess, where black attacks white's centre, but more from a distance, starts throwing pawns at and tries to undermine white's solid centre. Castles, bishop e3, and then c5. So here's your first wave of attack. White cannot play pawn takes pawn because of bishop takes on c3 check, bishop back, and then bishop takes rook, queen takes rook. So white would be the exchange down and in a lot of trouble. So this is how good the Grunfeld defense is. So I played h3. This is to prevent bishop g4, pinning the queen to the knight. So he's stuck behind the knight. Because if he swapped that off, then he'd be able to get the pawn in the middle. So knight c6. That's the 1, 2, 3 pieces now attacking this pawn, which is under serious attack. 3 versus 3. I just played bishop e2. That's a conservative, quiet way of developing the piece. Usually it's bishop c4, but I like bishop e2. b6, castles, pawn takes pawn, and bishop b7. I played the queen up to d2 to connect my rooks first of all, and he brought his queen up to d6, so he's going to bring in a rook across behind the queen. That will give him 4 pieces attacking the d pawn, and at the moment I'm only defending it with 3. So I play rook c1 on the half open file. Now he brings the rook on f8 behind the queen, and that completes the 4-piece attack on the d pawn. So now I have to bring my rook across to equal that. 4 attack, 4 defend. Bishop, knight, queen and rook defending. Bishop, knight, queen and rook attacking. But I've still got that pawn to watch on e4. So now he's brought his other rook across, and we've completed our development now, and we're down to the nitty-gritty of what this opening is all about. We're past the opening now. We're into the middle game, and so I played d5. This is one way of protecting that e-pawn from the bishop. He's gone knight a5. They say knight on the rim is grim, but I've got a game on video which some friends did, which show that the knight on the rim is great. So bishop d4, offering a bishop swap, but he takes with the rook, takes rook, rook takes rook. Still can play the bishop swap if he wishes, but he doesn't. He attacks the middle again. So I swap off the bishops, and then I just got opportunity of getting this A8, H8 diagonal line, which looks really good for me. So he's gone back. Now here's where I try to play a little trick on him. I'm going to play now. Obviously he's got to move the queen somewhere. He can take the pawn, but if he does, I've got rook d1, and then he's got problems because when he moves the queen he can't defend the rook. So he knows he's going to drop a rook if he takes that pawn. Robert's very wise and canny player. A younger, maybe inexperienced player might have done it, but not somebody of his quality. So he's gone back to d7. So I pushed the pawn on again. So I really got a thrust there now. A pawn's going down that side of the board through the middle, with threatening rook c7. Oh, this is looking good for me. So he's stopped that with rook c8. So I took the rook, he took, and now I brought my queen across to d2. I could have gone queen b5, but he could just go bishop c6, so it was pointless doing that. So he's brought his bishop into d5. That's a good move. It separates the queen from the pawn, and he would try to work on the other pawn and weaken that so that he can capture the d pawn after. So I've gone queen to g5 because Robert's got a lot of weaknesses all around his king. The black squares are really weak and exposed. So Robert brought his queen across to f8 to make sure that there was no way really of getting in there at that place. So I played a4 because I've got a pawn under attack. He could have took it before, but it wouldn't have been so good for him because I can immediately go queen to e7 and offer in a queen swap, but Robert won't do that. So knight back to b7. He wants to try and make sure that my pass pawn won't reach d8. Now I played queen into e7. You can't go queen takes queen, pawn takes queen because he won't be able to stop me playing the pawn onto e8. Even if he brought his bishop back to c6, I could play bishop b5, and then the bishop is unable to prevent me from queening. So he played f6. He's undermining that pawn, you see, the d6 pawn by threatening the e-pawn. So I've gone across my queen and I'm going to try and get a mate attack on him if he plays pawn takes pawn. Now I could take the pawn, but I'm going for the mate with knight g5. I've got a 1.8 advantage on him with the stockfish now, and that's pretty good. It's not winning, but it's almost there. So he's brought his queen to g7 to try and offer a queen swap, and which would be favourable for him now that he's just got one of my pawns. So I've gone queen check. He's blocked it with his queen. Yeah, I believe it was the wrong move to play d7. So I played safe with queen c7, again threatening mate on h7. So again he blocked it. Again I went for it with queen c8, and again he blocked it. So this is now going to end in a draw with a perpetual moves of going back and forward. So the game was drawn. It was a good game. I almost had enough there to win it, but Robert defended stoutly. He wasn't just a good attacking player, he was a good defending player also. So I hope you enjoyed the game. I look forward to seeing you again later on. Try and get another one in today for you, if I possibly can. Good night.